Hi, my name is Sherry. I am an employment advisor with the YMCA Employment Services here in Owen Sound. And today I'm going to spend some time going over with you a program called Better Jobs Ontario. This is a program that is Ontario government funded program. It's to assist eligible individuals in being able to gain some necessary skills to be retrained in some of those on-demand jobs. For those of you that are familiar with Second Career, you're probably asking yourself, is this not Second Career? And my answer to you is that yes, it's very similar to Second Career, but it has been revamped, this program, to allow more eligibility and more individuals to be able to access it. And so today I'm going to go over some of those changes with you. So just bear with me for a second, because I am going to share my screen with you. Okay, here we go. And let's start from the beginning. There we go. All right, Better Jobs Ontario. This is an information session that is going to be going over the ins and outs of the program, how to be eligible for it, and who is going to be able to assist you with this eligibility and the application process. So what is Better Jobs Ontario? I've already kind of answered this right in the beginning. It is a government funded program. It's for eligible applicants with to receive financial support to gain necessary skills training for in-demand jobs in their community. It is a cost-sharing grant program on the basis of needs. And so again, very important, it's a cost-sharing program, and it is based on individual needs, and it can provide up to $28,000 to pay for training-related expenses. And again, it's important to note, it can provide up to. So it is on an individual basis, which is where you will need to connect with one of our employment advisors. And I am going to go over how to do that at the end of the presentation in order for them to assess your eligibility and your suitability, and to also look at that financial piece for you. Isn't this the same as Second Career? Yes, similar, but it's better. Okay, the government of Ontario improved the program to ensure that Ontario's changing economy has a secure supply of talented workers now and in the future. So they have made some amazing changes to this program, again, to be able to allow for more individuals to be able to access it. And so right now I'm going to kind of chat a little bit about what has changed in the program, what are the differences and why it's better. So the redesign of Better Jobs Ontario has expanded the program, as I said, the eligibility and suitability, who have had challenges transitioning to sustainable employment and therefore would not have previously been eligible due to limited labor market attachment. What that basically means is that this is now changed, that you don't only have to have been working and have received a layoff. So in Second Career, you had to have a layoff. They've expanded that now to look at other people, other individuals' situation as to why they're struggling with getting sustainable employment. And so that is one of the eligibility pieces that has changed, which again, I am going to be going over with you. Again, what does that mean for me? If you weren't eligible before, you may be now, which is fantastic news. No longer is it just for laid off workers. So no longer do you just have to have a record of employment that shows that you've had an end of contract. It also will, that is one way that you can apply for the program, but there are many other ways as well. There's going to be more opportunity for people with known limitations to the job market, which have been made worse by COVID-19. This is also going to be supportive for newcomers, people with disabilities, youth with employment barriers, and social assistance recipients. It also is allowing a fast track program to help you rejoin the workforce quickly, and I'm going to go over that with you, exactly what that means. So what type of training is available? First off, we're looking at programs less than 52 weeks. So it's to help you rejoin these are the ones, the fast track, so to speak, that's going to help you rejoin the workforce quickly. So Better Jobs Ontario is going to focus on training programs that take 52 weeks or less to complete, including micro-credential programs. And the other training that's available as well, we'll be looking at NOC level B or C. NOC B is technical jobs and skilled trades that usually call for a college diploma or training as an apprentice. A NOC C is an intermediate job that usually calls for high school and or job specific training. And so one of those things for job specific training might be like a DZ license or an AZ license that you require. Different streams for different situations. And this is what makes Better Job Ontario better than Second Career, because it's now looking at some of those different situations and what works best for the individual, knowing that every individual have individual situations. And so first of all, we have the regular, the fee payer, manufacturing, fast track, and low income. And I'm going to take a few minutes to go over each one. So the regular stream eligibility in here, this is similar to Second Career. So you can still be eligible the same way you would have been for Second Career. So showing a proof of employment contract that has ended and or a fixed term employment contract that has expired. Also showing that record of employment. Being unemployed or working at an interim position that falls with NOC level D and be less than 20 hours a week. So a NOC level D position might be something, as an example, would be like a cashier. So if you've been working as a cashier and you're working under 20 hours a week, then you would be eligible if you had a layoff as well, or a contract that has ended or expired. You need to be a Canadian citizen or permanent resident and or meet the 900 series SIN. And of course, demonstrate occupational demand for the training request with evidence of good employment prospects. And again, we're looking for high in demand jobs within your community. So that's where you'll need to show evidence that the job that you're wanting to do, the training that you're wanting to do, that you're going to be able to get a job afterwards, because that is the end result that that you're wanting, and that Job Ontario is looking for, Better Jobs Ontario. The next stream is the fee payer stream eligibility. So this is for people that are already receiving employment insurance. So maybe they have received a layoff, or their work has come to an end for some reason, and they're receiving employment insurance financial support. And these are for participants that are wanting to pay for their schooling that will allow for them to remain on EI. So what they're asking for is that usually when you apply for Better Jobs Ontario and we put your application through the ministry, your employment insurance comes to an end if you're on that, and then they take into account your basic living allowance that you receive through Better Jobs Ontario. This way, if you're willing to pay for your own training costs, then there is a way that you could remain and stay on your employment insurance while you're in school. But that is something you have to apply for. The manufacturing stream eligibility. So this is new. Part of this is that if you've been laid off from any type of job in manufacturing sector as of January 1st, 2019, you would be eligible to apply for Better Jobs Ontario for retraining. This is the fast track stream that I was talking about that is definitely new. And so this is, again, it does have some eligibility pieces for it. So it's laid off on or after March 1st, 2020 from a sector identified as highly impacted by COVID-19. That you have no more than high school education or been laid off from an occupation that required no more than a high school education, NOC C or D, and regardless of the individual's education. Seeking training for identified in-demand occupations in Ontario or their local job market, that you're unemployed and that you reside in Ontario, so you are a resident of Ontario. The next stream that is also new under the Better Jobs Ontario eligibility is that if you fall into the lower income, so in this stream, you don't have to have a layoff. You have been unemployed for 6 months or more. And this includes individuals who are not working or are working on average 20 hours a week or less for an employer, or if you're an unincorporated self-employed. Okay. Also looking at another part of the eligibility piece could be that you're receiving social assistance or live in a household where the combined income is at or below the Stats Canada low income cutoffs. And so we have all that information and as far as what the cutoffs are. And so when you do meet with an employment advisor and do your financial piece, they'll be able to tell if you fall within that eligibility piece for the Stats Canada. Had 2-year period where you did not attend high school, full-time, part-time, or academic upgrading. So you have to have a 2-year leg where you're not in school. The exceptions, though, left full-time high school students to participate in literacy and basic skills programming within the last 2 years and or are currently receiving social assistance. So there is an exception, and that's why this program really is individual based, and that's why it's really important to get registered and connect with an employment advisor at one of our offices in order for them to help you kind of find out which stream you fall under and where you're eligible. So this is just looking at individual eligibility and suitability. So again, it's looking at, have you been laid off or on or after January 1st of 2005, be unemployed, be a resident of Ontario, be a Canadian citizen, permanent resident or convention refugee claimant, demonstrate your desired occupation and has good employment prospects locally or in Ontario. And so those are very similar to second career for that part. So how do you apply? Yes. And I did tell you that I was going to talk to you a little bit about this in closer to the end of our presentation. So the first step for you is that you need to meet with a YMC employment advisor. And I will put our contact information up at the end, but you can certainly call us, email us, come in person, and just let them know that you're interested in retraining, and they'll connect you with an employment advisor. That employment advisor is going to help you decide if the program that you're thinking about, that you're wanting to do, is right for you. They're going to help you gather information needed to support the application, and they're going to support you in your steps to complete your application. And so they'll help you and answer any questions that you have, give you, whatever websites that you need to collect some of that information, and kind of be there step by step to support you through it. Preparing your application. Yeah, it's a big one. So these are some of the things, just to give it in a nutshell, these are some of the things that you'll have to show and prove to the ministry of the job that you're looking for, the training that you want. So some of the things that you'll have to put together is you'll have to be able to answer and show how long you've been unemployed or working your temporary job and looking for work. Places and positions you've applied for. So for example, cover letters, CVs or resumes and responses from potential employers. Level of education obtained. You'll also have to show previous employment, how long you worked there, skills required, and what skills you want to obtain and where you can get trained in them. So part of your research, so the application is not just filling a couple forms out. There is a little bit of research that you have to do through it as well. And so you must research at least 3 training institutions to make sure they offer the training that you need. So you have to include 1 college of applied arts and technology and 1 private career college. So many people, unless what they're planning to go for is more offered in private career colleges, usually people will choose 2 applied arts and technology colleges, so 2 colleges and then 1 private career college. What will be really important for you to keep in mind when you're looking at private career colleges is that it has to be accredited. And so when you meet with your employment advisor, they'll be able to give you the website to make sure that when you're looking at private career colleges, to show the ministry of different places that you could be trained, that it is an accredited college. Now we're just going to chat a little bit. I'm going to review with you some of the funding that's available and what you can apply for. So eligible participants can apply for up to $28,000 for costs. And those costs that they'll look at will include tuition, books, transportation, other instructional costs such as student fees, supplies, electronic devices, books, those kinds of things. That we already have books up there. And then of course, looking at your basic living allowance. And so they'll look at your individual needs and your assessments, financial assessment, and figure out what your basic living allowance would be allowed through Better Jobs Ontario. Okay. Again, and we're going to talk a little bit more about cost of living. So depending on household income, and again, this is where it comes individual, Better Jobs Ontario may provide funding to cover basic living costs such as, your food, your water, your hydro, heat, phone, internet, rent, mortgage, or property taxes. And so they will take all those things into account. Other expenses like car payments, insurance, child support, debt payments, those are some examples, are examined to determine financial feasibility of participating in the program, but they're not covered through Better Jobs Ontario. So they will take that into account of how much money you are putting out, but they will not take that into account for your for what they will provide you with funding. Okay. So some additional, but there is some additional funding out there. And again, it's on an individual need. So you'll speak with your employment advisor, but they will look at childcare, if you're living away from home, disability related supports, as well as if you need literacy and basic skills and or language training. So if there's some of those things that need to be done before you can get into your course, that it can be part of your plan. And so that can certainly be looked at, that where they'll allow some of that funding and some of that basic living allowance to support you while you're doing that, so you can get into the training that you want to get into. So if this is something you're interested in, or you just want to learn a little bit more about and figure out what makes the most sense for you, please connect with us, speak with an employment advisor, and you can call us at 519-371-9222. The extension is 6, or again, you can email at employment@osgb.ymca.ca. And you can also check us out online at ymcaowensound.on.ca. Thanks for listening today, and maybe we'll see you soon.